But TaeJa has, I think his TVT has been a little bit more on point. Polt's dropped series to actually TaeJa, Bomber as well, and the series that he won in the finals against TaeJa was, it was a very short, aggressive one.
Well, both of these players kind of very similar in group stages, 2 wins, 2 losses in weird ways. We saw TaeJa actually advance in second place, losing to Lenok and Life, who's obviously wanting revenge, but Polt also had 2-2 with a couple of Terrans in his group that he had to go up against. But when he came to the bracket stage, he played against 4GG yesterday, which is why Jeff said that it's likely looking at a TaeJa victory here. 0-3 versus 4GG, but 4GG plays his very own unique style. He approaches Terran versus Terran like no one else. This is going to be something more traditional that maybe he's used to playing in this kind of matchup now.
It certainly is going to be more traditional. I think Polt is going to do a better job than he did against 4GG. I refuse to believe that this could be another 3-0.
He needs to last 30 minutes to do that. It was like
I think he's going to be able to last those 30 minutes.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you, I always want to root for Polt. I always want to see Polt win, and I want to say that Polt's going to take it, but TaeJa is a literal god.
A literal god.
And I can't see him losing until he hits Life.
All right, so very quick predictions here. Almost ready for the game. Nathanias, please, prediction?
I'm going to go 3-1 TaeJa.
3-0 TaeJa, easy.
And
3-0 easy.
Yeah.
3-1 TaeJa.
All right, there we have it. Okay, boys, take it away. Your commentary team for this is going to be Nathanias and In Control.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Artosis. Having a lot of fun here. And I want to put this out there, too. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is I hope this is 2.5 hours of epic, amazing stuff. We've seen it from Polt. I've got nothing against him as a player. It's just right now in this climate, it's the end of the esports year. People are exhausted. The players are exhausted. Some people are peaking. They've chosen to peak. TaeJa chose now, and it just looks like the inevitable is TaeJa versus Life, and these other guys are flies on a windshield.
Yeah, he's this has been he wanted to call this his last hurrah. Of course, he's our Red Terran player in the Southwest, representing Team Liquid. Give it up for TaeJa. I think even right before going into this game, there was like a tweet that was like, "I want to retire soon" or something. I'm not sure if someone else put that out, but he's been talking about it quite a bit. Yeah,
again,
he's been talking about it quite a bit. But he's still playing, and this guy who seems to have a lot more ahead of him. He's been playing very well in America, looking to get some TVT wins under his belt. Representing Cooler Master Storm, it is Polt.
And I love that Polt takes those interviews like a boss and is bilingual at least. He probably speaks 15 more languages with how smart that guy is. But he has no problem answering anything. I just think that's so cool. Starcraft is in an amazing place where it's very international. It's not just in Korea. Polt represents that, and he embodies that. He's traveled abroad. He's played everywhere. He's one of, I can't remember what we call it, but he's won a championship in Europe, America, and Korea, if I'm not mistaken. He was like the first guy to do that.
Yeah, he's one of those players that's just been around and been consistent. He's participated in a couple of tournaments this year where he did have to go up against quite a few of the non-North American region, which a lot of, most people give a little bit of criticism. It's not the most competitive region, but
they're wrong though, man. Every time people say that, it's like, yes, our ladder is the least competitive, but like WCS NA had really top tier Koreans, like both these guys we're looking at right now, who are in, by the way, the top 6 of this tournament, one of which is favored to perhaps win it or at least challenge the other guy.
Yeah,
every time they say that, I'm like, no, you don't get it.
These guys actually do play against each other quite a bit.
Yeah.
Polt had the misfortune of running into Bomber a few times this year as well. But so looking at the way that these games have started up, Polt is playing the meta. He's going for this gas first. He's gone straight for his factory. He's getting up this reactor now. And TaeJa actually opening up with the Reaper on this map gives him like this weird opportunity because you only have those 2 Marines, and if you do a little bit of damage and you come in later, maybe you can kill them. It's actually really smart that Polt waited a little bit longer to start the reactor, because if it is just 1 Marine, then he can kill the first one, delay the starport, and you can kind of see what I was saying yesterday. Like if this happens, it sucks. It sucks to deal with, but TaeJa is feeling confident enough that he can defend whatever Polt throws his way, and he's going for that fast expand, which usually puts you at great risk of taking damage.
And it's interesting, TaeJa is very patient with that Reaper, perhaps almost in air as it plays out. This Hellion's going to chase back and presumably kill the Reaper. Yeah, so the final stroke of flame will get it. Bunker is queued up over here at the natural, and the Hellion's not making a beeline over here. There is a couple of Marines out. The Bunker should finish. So no immediate threat, but to your point, that gas first opening, medevac queued up, Marines queued up. This is going to be 4 to 6 Hellions and 6 Marines or so in a medevac. A very tough timing attack to hold off. TaeJa knows this is in the meta, and TaeJa knows it's coming around, so we're going to have to see what he's going to do to hold it off.
Yeah, this is... Yeah, exactly. This is in the meta, about as meta as you get for TVT, these fast plays. If you're either doing this or Banshee, and if you're not, you're either losing games or trying not to die early on with a fast Raven play. So Polt moving across the map, killing that Reaper is nice. You know, every unit that you can get to defend against this is huge because you can put that Reaper in the bunker, and then you have one more Marine in the main to try to shoot down the medevac. These Hellions run by, and I think you notice very quickly, it's like, okay, only took like 6 damage, so he only actually has like a handful, like 1 Marine in that bunker. He could try to run by it, but he's going to go into the main. He's just going to elevator. TaeJa does not have all of his forces ready. It's very important to damage these Marines before the Hellions come in, though.
Wow, he's attacking from the low ground. The Marines, actually, the Hellions getting a few pokes there as well. And the Hellions on the high ground of TaeJa trying to do what they can to thin the Marine count with that medevac. They're just getting negated. Now, as time goes on, the production of TaeJa is better, and it's obviously very immediate here as well. So it's interesting. Polt's being super patient, and perhaps that's wrong. He's going to pick up the Marines and backs away. And Nate, I'm going to defer to you. You're the expert. He didn't do any damage there. Is TaeJa, I mean, it's not over just yet, but for right now, TaeJa must be feeling good.
Yeah, it's a nice spot to be in for TaeJa. The advantages for Polt outside of all this is that he just has this aggressive setup. Polt's gone for the second medevac follow-up, and here he's trying to really hammer it in, and dropping on top of these Hellions will make that line damage they do a little bit less effective. Now with the double healing power, like even pulling SCVs is going to get really tricky against this. The 3 Hellions doing a lot. Vikings about to come out though, which will help with this, but SCVs being pulled for TaeJa, trying to hold this off. He's actually evened out now. Polt taking a worker lead as he cleans up a lot of these SCVs. 10 killed, and still picking off a couple of Marines and these Hellions.
Yeah, the supply though, fairly similar. So yeah, a lot of damage was done, but it's interesting the ebb and flow of this. There is access to that earlier mule. It's going to be like a 2, maybe 3 mule advantage for TaeJa, so it kind of shores up the difference. Perhaps a few too many SCVs died though. It's not like this game's over, which is refreshing, because yesterday the match that has me all pessimistic, it was like every time that attack happened, the other guy just buckled and died. But you can see TaeJa equalizing in supply, economy-wise, it's similar.
The economy situation isn't as bad for TaeJa as it might seem, because he does have that. He did get that second mule so much earlier, and the lower worker count he has is spread out between the 2 bases. So I don't think he's actually in too horrible of a spot, since Polt's just now finishing up that second orbital. I'm trying to look for where exactly the advantage is.
Was mining better, actually. Yeah. Just a little bit. They just dropped. They just swapped mule drops, actually. So it's actually about the same. It's pretty close.
Yeah, Polt's going to move into a standard bio play. He's got his second and third barracks finishing up as these Hellions poke. And TaeJa, he's actually built another reactor on this barracks, and I'm kind of wondering if we're going to see, okay, third gas. I'm expecting him to start up another factory, maybe on the reactor, or just move the starport over when Cloak is done. I think we're going to see mech from TaeJa.
That'd be cool. Scan from Polt shows that there is that twirling tech lab on the starport. He should know that there's Cloak Banshees incoming. He does not have the engineering bay just yet. However, it's at 50%. So right now he's just kind of sharking around the Viking, looking to pick up a Banshee earlier on, but he's actually just going to miss one. He might be on the trail. Nope, the Banshee's going to make its way over there.
Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. Polt, he does have 1 scan available, so doing a little bit of damage means he should be close enough to catch this. Yeah, the Viking, I guess at this point he's just trying to wait him out. It's like, okay, don't want to scan if I don't have to. He still has the energy
Vikings
for it.
Yeah, he's going to do it with the 3 Vikings. That's a dead Banshee.
Banshee only gets 3 kills, could have been a lot worse. And at the same time, TaeJa followed all of this up. I think he had a Raven in production and canceled it. He's like, no, I want to get this starport on the reactor so that I can get Vikings out. And this is actually very 4GG-esque of TaeJa. And I think maybe he's noticed something in the way that Polt plays that gives 4GG the same confidence to do builds like this, where he plays around with a lot of Hellions. The only thing that's really nice for Polt is that he built so many Vikings early on. Like, he's got a pretty good amount of air control.
These Marines moving out on the map. They don't know where they're going. They got to get picked up, and there's just room for everybody. So they will evacuate. That's really nice. Good reaction from Polt if he loses those Marines there. It's not game ending, of course, but it's nice for TaeJa. That being said, Polt's denying. Supply is still fairly equal, and it looks like it's going to be bio versus mech, that classic matchup. Polt starting to churn out stim in the upgrades, as well as tanks. It's going to be Marine tank versus mech.
Okay, so really important things to note here. Polt is sitting on 4 barracks, which is a bit unusual amount of production for TVT, but he's building a lot of Vikings, so that's kind of where the resources are going from a 5th barracks. But no 3rd command center says to me he does want to push, but TaeJa just finished his 3rd CC. He's got a lot of Hellions, Blue Flame on the way, and Polt still has enough Marines with this army because he's got 2 reactored barracks. Like, not having that 3rd tech lab one, the Marauders, each Marauder is like so important for soaking up that Hellion fire, that Polt moving out on the map. It's going to be a very risky move. Once TaeJa sees what's coming, like, he doesn't actually need to turn this into Hellbats because I feel like he could just splash all the Marines. He's going to catch this force. He's like, yes, Hellions can in fact kill 2 Marauders and 8 Marines. Marauders aren't that good.
There's enough of them, they can for sure. And this is actually so Polt. It's a really nice thing you pointed out. Polt skipping that 3rd CC really changes up the timings. You're expecting the Terran to be a little bit smaller in force and a little bit more macro focused, but here comes a giant swell of units. That being said, though, it's curious. He's going bio, but he's actually behind in supply despite the 3rd CC from our mech player, TaeJa.
Yeah, it's most of the time you're like, well, why does the mech player have so many less tanks? It's because this army from TaeJa is designed to swallow the first push that comes out of the bio player, because normally you start the game with just lots and lots of Marines. So this Marine heavy composition, he wants to just blast it down. The tanks are moving forward for TaeJa. He's going to drop Hellbats on top of the tanks at the same time. The Hellions run forward. Now, TaeJa actually does lose all of his tanks immediately. He's got 1 more in the back. I don't think this
it's
attack...
not enough.
Yeah, a bit preemptive of him, a bit adventurous to go straight into it. He does clean up a lot of the bio, but he doesn't have a backbone.
GG is called out. He goes for that attack, and as you said, he tried to swallow up the force, but if you're not going to swallow it, it swallows you, and Polt takes the first game in this best of 5.
A bit surprising to see TaeJa jump out on top of that. I think holding the ramp and letting the Hellions use that ramp as a choke point to line all those Marines up really makes it a lot easier to take those fights. He really wanted to force the Hellbat drop, and I think that's just maybe TaeJa thought that he was like really far ahead. I'm not sure, but the 3rd base, like, he didn't need to actually fight.
I think one of the things that made him feel like he had to was he actually lost the Viking battle. There was his 4 Vikings versus the 7 or 8 of Polt, and he was part of his strategy was to drop Hellbats on that force. So if you lose the air battle, of course, I guess what he said is, well, he's going to turn around and kill the Medivacs,
like,
so I got to go now.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Really, that's a tough one to look at. Polt, I mean, maybe TaeJa wasn't. I'm trying to think now, like, if he was 100% sure that there wasn't a 3rd command center, because that is the type of push that if you stop that as a meching player and you have any number of Hellions left to try to do a counterattack or a drop harass or do Hellbat drops with those Medivacs, you pretty much have the game in the bag, because that 3rd command center will give you more than enough gas to pump out tanks, and then the bio player just kills themselves trying to like doom drop you or something, and you have way too many forces. But it's actually a really nice map to pick up for Polt, because that was a very sloppy engagement for TaeJa, whether it was forced by the Vikings or not. I think still holding that high ground. Yeah. Because for Polt to have so many Vikings, TaeJa should also recognize that he obviously wasn't building Medivacs. Like, there wasn't a drop play to be made. Yeah. So even the 3rd command center's orbital would have given him energy to scan and not get outranged by the siege tanks.
It felt a little bit more like it was Polt that was super interested in knowing what TaeJa was doing as opposed to vice versa. I mean, TaeJa was not super wrong. Like you said, his army, was kind of designed to eat up a bio force, but it was very Marauder heavy, and it had 4 or maybe 5 tanks versus just the 1 tank of TaeJa. That's a very explosive and also like kind of hardy force. If you're going to just run in with Hellions, it takes a lot of Hellions to kill tanks unaided.
Yeah, he had like the 2 tanks finishing up behind, but not sieging them. Just like, tanks can be good if you're catching the units one at a time coming out of Medivacs like that, but in a straight up fight, unless you have like 8 tanks as TaeJa, you're not going to win with them unsieged.
Right. So a little, I think you can just chalk that game up. I mean, maybe it was the Vikings, maybe it wasn't, but it was definitely a miscalculation from TaeJa. TaeJa had the much faster 3rd CC. He was equal or close to it, if not even a little bit ahead in supply. Viking count, he was down 3 or 4, which is just enough where you don't want to engage in that Viking battle. You want to delay it, get a missile turret, something. And as you said, any kind of delay with more tanks coming out of those factories really favor TaeJa. He's going to be able to hold the top of that ramp and defend his better economy, as opposed to jumping down and attacking an otherwise useless spot, by the way, because where Polt was, it didn't matter.